Greetings, hello, welcome on in, Unoptimized Fool here with another weekly video. Now this week, as you guys know, I said that if 11.2 was ever announced, which it obviously was going to be announced eventually, it was going to be a big week. Well, guess what? 11.2 was announced, so we have 15 articles to talk about. I condensed a lot, right? Now, we're still in the suit. It's still like 97 degrees out with 80% humidity, so if I look like I'm sweating, it's because I am. Okay, it's very warm in here, but we're going to get the content to you guys no matter what. Now, again, two different things that are changing today. One, the camera angle, so hopefully the microphone's a little bit better, so let me know too. And also, I'll be reading off of a little bit of a notebook. Now, again, I noticed we're getting into more complex stuff here, right? A lot of things that, are going to be repeated. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to read off the notebook, okay? So we're just going to have to, again, I'm going to get better at it, hopefully, so if I'm looking down, looking at a notebook, that's because I want to give you the best information I can. Now, obviously, guys, the spotters are still looking for members. We are in retail, obviously. We still do raids. We're looking to get into 11.2, the new raid, right, which we'll obviously be talking about today. And also, too, we have the Miss Pandaria events coming up here, right? We have the leveling event coming up soon, so definitely sign up for that. That is going to be in the Discord. And there's going to be some more details following that too. But honestly, let's get right into the video because there's a lot of content to cover today. Alrighty guys, now the first article actually doesn't have to do with 11.2, right? So I don't know if you guys know this, but 11.1.7 was launched last week. Now we only had 11.1.7 for like 1 or 2 days before 11.2 decided to be like, hey, by the way, we're coming out. So I think all the glory has been stolen about 11.1.7. I mean, again, it's just a 0.7 patch, but I still want to talk about it. Now we have a new quest line, obviously. The story has continued. The Rise of the Red Dawn quest line. Now you go back into the Arathi Highlands, dive into some Arathi lore, right? Some of the old lore versus new values of the Arathi. Now there is some controversy currently with the lore. There's a certain character, again, no spoilers, it's just been out for a week now, where some people don't think they're really acting like the actual character from back in the day. But again, I'm not too much into the lore, but there's some angry people, that's for sure. Now, obviously, we get a couple of rewards. Now, there's rewards for both Alliance and Horde. You can go through it as a Horde and Alliance, obviously. For the Alliance, you get the Stormguard Tabard, right? That's the giant Arathi base there. And of course, too, you get a Hammerfall Tabard for the Horde, right? Again, that is the Horde equivalent of the area. It's not as big, but it's definitely well established in the lore. We also get, everyone has access to the Lamplighter's Pauldrons, which is just a fancy word for shoulders. It mimics the Ferelyn's Lamplighter's shoulders, right? So what she wears, that's what we have now. So it's actually pretty good for transmogs, right? Then we also have a new achievement, right? Now you get a certain title for the Alliance and the Horde. You get your name of Stormguard, right? Obviously if you're Alliance, and then if your name of Hammerfall, obviously if you're Horde. So again, very interesting lore, definitely fun to dive into. There's definitely some questionable things happening inside of the quest line, but I do enjoy it. I love these types of things, going back to the old world. I think that's what we need in modern WoW. So again, this is going to be one of those articles about 11.1.7, but most of the stuff now is about 11.2. Alright guys, let's talk about 11.1.7 yet again. Now with this system, again, we've been overshadowed by 11.2, but we have the overcharged delves, right? They're going to be just normal delves, but now with all these electricity pools and some greater difficulty if you're wanting to push difficulty for the delves, right? But you also get access to a Titan console, right? You can upgrade inside of these overcharged delves. You can upgrade to think of how horrific visions, those upgrades give you more sanity, right? This gives you more power inside of the delves, right? Now that only works for overcharge. Obviously, it doesn't work outside of like normal delves or in the open world, right? But we now have a new belt, right, which is a borrowed power system, and it's going to be best in slot for most classes. Now, there's 9 possibilities of what you can slot into this belt, right? Now, right now, the best in slot one for most melee DPS is actually getting nerfed today around 62%, so we'll see what the new meta is. But you can get this belt, you can upgrade it every week or so. I think right now the max item level you can get is 701. Now right now it's only 694, but you can upgrade it over time, so it's going to be a bit more powerful as time goes on. Again, there's a quest line for it, right? So you have to just complete 2 overcharged delves and can be done with tier 1. So don't be going doing 11 tier, like, you know, tier 11s. You don't have to do that. Just do tier 1 to get it over with if you don't want to challenge yourself. Now, obviously, if you're a goblin and you want to challenge yourself, obviously do a level 11. Now, obviously, to start this quest, you have to go inside of Dornogal and talk to our boy Dagrin. He's going to be near the Delve area in the main city. Again, the disc belt has 9 possibilities. One's getting heavily nerfed today, so we'll see where it stands. But yeah, definitely check out that system. Again, it's definitely just like this, the ring that we got inside of Siren Isle. It's going to be best in slot for most classes. If you min-max, that's definitely something you need to check out. Alright guys, based off of my forehead, it is summer, okay guys, and there's always sales happening at Blizzard. Now, I always talked about back in the past that I'm going to cover all the different sales that occur, just so you guys know. Again, I'm not trying to promote things, just sell you things. I'm not promoted by Blizzard. Would be cool though, but I just want to let you guys know that right now is the summer sale. It's the summer blowout, right? Now, you can save up to 50% on mounts, pets, character services, and more. And obviously this is select, not all mounts are 50% off, some of them. Obviously, the way you'll know is obviously you'll click on the mount page, you'll see your favorite mount. Does it have a minus 50%? If it does, congrats, you can get it for cheap, right? 50% is actually pretty nice if you ask me. Also, select toys and transmog too, right? You have the full transmog sets. Those are also, some of them are up for 50%. Also, a level 70 boost, right? Again, not everything's gonna be 50%, but like the level boost, for example, to level 70 in retail is 33% off, which is not bad, right? I mean, you should just play the game, but don't get the boost. For Cataclysm Classic, this actually affects you. You'll be, again, have some services that are a certain percentage off. Now, this summer sale ends on June 30th, 2025. Okay, so I just want to let you know about this sale. Again, some people have been waiting for these big sales, so this is definitely one of those sales that you definitely should check out. I might pick up that cool transmog gear of like the stars rating, or I forget what the name of it's called, but it looks pretty sick though. But yeah, just check it out. It is a summer sale. All right, guys. Now, currently, right now, we are inside Turbulent Time Waves, the 3rd iteration of that event. Right now, Turbulent Time Waves is just time walking after time walking after time walking, just a bunch of weeks of time walking. There's actually 7 weeks in total. Now, we're entering the 2nd week, right? Now, this week for time walking, by the way, it's going to be Mists of Pandaria, okay? Speaking about Mists of Pandaria, we had that event, by the way, right? Now, the first week was the new iteration of Battle for Azeroth. We now have a new time walking dungeon events, right, through BFA, right, which is pretty cool. I was playing it a bunch. I leveled up a couple of mages, and it's pretty cool to go and play through older BFA dungeons. I enjoyed BFA. Don't quote me, though, obviously. Now, again, week 2 is now live, so enjoy that. You missed BFA, but don't worry, BFA will be back in the rotation for this Turbulent Time Waves. Now, I will tell you guys the rotation, by the way, on my handy-dandy notebook, right? So we have the first week being BFA, this week being Mists of Pandaria. The week after that, it's going to be Burning Crusade, and then after that, it's going to be Warlords of Draenor, and then we have Legion, Classic, and then the final week is going to be BFA again. Just, again, you know, a new way to celebrate, right? BFA. Now, again, you have to complete 4 dungeons per week for 4 weeks or 5 weeks in order to get the collector mount. Now, this one's going to be a giant dragon. It's going to be BFA inspired. Last one was, I think it was a bee. Now, that bee is actually already, you can be bought through just time warp badges on any shop, right? Any time walking vendor, you can buy that. So there's no FOMO, thankfully. There's no FOMO with these mounts that you can get. But it's pretty cool to get the achievement though, right? Because obviously it's a pretty big achievement to get. So yeah, week 2 is here. Enjoy Mists of Pandaria. And eventually we'll be diving into Mists of Pandaria Classic here soon, guys. Alright, guys, now this is going to be the last article that doesn't have to do with 11.2. Again, there's still news happening, but obviously 11.2 is going to be the majority of this video. Now, obviously, I yap weekly about the Renown system inside the raid. Obviously, you go in, kill the bosses and the lieutenants, and you get reputation for this Renown. Now we're on rank 17. We're almost done, remember, guys. There's only 20 ranks here, so we are almost done, okay? And so rank 17, again, was last week. Now, technically today, rank 18 is available, but we're always talking about the previous rank that came out, just so you guys know. Now, nothing too crazy this week. It's a new mount, right? Now, the new mount is going to be called Darkfuse Chompactor, right? It's a doggy, right? It's a very cute dog, and it's there for you to get, and obviously it unlocks, but you still have to buy it. I think it's 500 gold, so don't be poor, I guess. But yeah, rank 17, nothing, no power. Now, obviously, we are looking for one more power increase here soon. I think that's this week or the week after. We're definitely getting one more, though, so definitely quote me on that. I don't know when it's coming, because I don't really look. I just wait until I see the news. But yeah, rank 17, make sure you, again, catch-up mechanics are always in the game, so if you're behind, just do some more looking for raid, and you'll get all the XP to catch up, no problem. Alright, guys. Here we go, talking about 11.2. Now, obviously, in 11.2, we're going to have Season 3 of The War Within. Now, Season 3, obviously, changes the rotation of all the Mythic dungeons and gives us new tier sets and all that stuff. Now, I'm actually going to talk about Season 3 and all the Mythic dungeons that are going to be available for that season. Now, it's been fully revealed. Now, we're getting back the Dawnbreaker, which was in Season 1. So again, that's going to be the one inside of Hollowfall. Then we have Arathi, the City of Echoes, which is also coming back. So I can already see people going for that egg sack trinket. I already see it coming. And then we also have Operation Floodgate coming back from Season 2, right? Again, I enjoy Operation Floodgate. That was one of the new dungeons added into 11.1. And then we have Pyre of the Sacred Frame. Now, all of these, by the way, all of these dungeons that are from the Walking Dead, the War Within, were voted via the community. Now, whoever voted for Pyre, are you crazy? Pyre and Cinderbrew is probably one of the worst dungeons to run on Mythic difficulty. So to see Pyre in Season 3 makes me want to scream. So whoever voted for that, what are you doing? I feel like people who don't even do Mythics voted for that place. Unbelievable. Anyway, we have a new dungeon, right, coming in 11.2, which we'll talk about later, called Echo Dome Aladarni, right? That's going to be in the rotation. Look at that. Then we also have Halls of Atonement. Now, you're probably going to remember that from Shadowlands, one of the best expansions to ever hit this game. Smile, right? So that's going to be coming back, but that, the dungeons were pretty good in that game, in that what's it called? DLC expansion. There it is, right? We also have Teravesh coming. Now, Teravesh is coming back into 11.2, right? The whole city is coming back. So we have two dungeons in there, right? We have Teravesh, the Streets of Wonder, and Teravesh, the Solea's Gambit. Again, I suck at names, so hopefully I got all of them right. So again, all the War Within dungeons were voted on. So people who voted for Pyre, I see you. I see you. But yeah, that is all of the dungeons confirmed. Obviously, this won't stay set in stone. Obviously, I think we're good to go to say, start learning your routes, guys. It's going to be a rough one, especially for Pyre. I'm not looking forward to that again. Alright, guys. Now, speaking about Season 3, I want to talk about the new tier sets. Now, as you guys know, we have tier sets, right? That give you bonuses on 2-piece and 4-piece, right? So, again, those are coming back, but they're going to be changing in how they work fundamentally. Now, before, they were just based off of your spec. Either your Arms Warrior, you're going to have this one. Now, instead of being on your spec, it's going to be based off your hero talents. Now, you're probably wondering, like, well, unoptimized fool, in your hero talents as an Arms Warrior, or any spec, really, you can pick between one tree or the other. Well, that's right, guys. That means that every spec is going to have two options, two tier sets to pick from. So metas might be changing, guys. Again, most metas have been already pretty formulated, pretty foundational, right? Now they could change, obviously. Again, all these tier sets are going to be data mined, ready for you to look at. Obviously, I'm not going to cover all the details in here, but there's going to now be two per spec, right? For example, right? Kind of an example for you guys, right? We have, for warriors, we have Mountain Thane, Colossus, and Slayer. Now, obviously, those are 3, but each spec has access to 2, right? For example, with Arms Warriors, we get Slayer and Colossus, right? So now I can pick between which tier set I want based off of my hero talents. So it's going to be interesting to see what the meta is going to be like. Again, this is the first one that we've ever seen based off the hero talent. So it's going to be interesting to see if we have some winning formula here, or they might have to go back. But I'm glad they're experimenting. Now, based off of the tier sets, by the way, just the appearances, I gave them mostly 7, 8, some got 9s. The only one that I gave 1 out of 10 was the Hunter tier transmog for the tier. It looks horrendous, okay? You guys can look it up, but it looks so bad. Sorry, you guys. Sorry, hunters. You guys are slacking in that department. I don't know what they were thinking. You don't look like hunters at all. I'm sorry what they did to you. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what these hero talents and how they affect the tier sets. I'm excited to see what happens with them. All right, guys. Now we've been talking about Season 3 Mythics, right? We've been talking about the tier sets. Let's talk about the new raid. Now, let's back up for a second. What is 11.2, right? I just realized I didn't even say what it is. Ghosts of Koresh. Now, obviously, we already know what Koresh is. It's the homeworld of the Ethereals. Now, when you get to 11.2 into Koresh, you're going to notice that this planet has been absolutely ripped apart. Now, this world was destroyed by the Void Lord Dimensius. Now, as you guys know, Xalatath is part of the Void. She probably wants Dimensius to come back, and there is actually a plot to get Dimensius back here. But yeah, all these articles are talking about different, events, different, raid, what the new thing is, right, inside of this. So each article will be talking about one system and kind of going into depth there, right? And obviously I'll have my normal closet videos. So the new raid, it's going to be called Manaforge Omega, and it's going to be an 8 boss raid, right, which we've been getting a lot of those recently. Now it's going to be a facility built by the Ethereals before the world was destroyed to harvest void energy, right? So they, again, but however, some drama is occurring. Shadow Guard Ethereals have decided that they're going to use all this energy to resurrect our boy Void Lord Dimensius for some reason. You would think, again, the Ethereals were ripped apart during this process of the world being destroyed. So that's why there are these voidless things wrapped with these linens, right, to keep themselves together. So I don't know why they're trying to bring back the guy who made that. Obviously, it's probably to destroy Azeroth. Xalatath has something to probably do with it, with her blue toes. It's a mess. Now, again, Dimensius here is going to be the final boss, and he is massive. I'm not talking about like N'Zoth massive. I'm talking about this is going to be one of the largest bosses in World of Warcraft history. The scale of it, they had to use Stormwind. Okay, Stormwind, the city, yeah, that city. Dimensius is just larger than the city, guys. So we're going to be fighting this guy, and obviously this is going to be a crazy fight. And obviously in the PTR, by the way, the PTR is out now, so check it out. That's how I'm getting all this cool footage. Obviously we won't be able to test Dimensius, so the first time this goes live, we'll be seeing that probably from the world's first race, right? Now, some of the previews of the raid bosses here, again, all of them are on the PTR, right? We have a warden protecting the entrance point, kind of like being the filter of like, this is energy, wait a minute, this is like 50 raiders, what the heck's going on? And then we'll fight them, obviously. We have an army of ethereals still being wrapped. Again, right? Now this wrap has to come from somewhere, so it's a factory, right? It's going to be a pretty mechanical void place, right? And again, all this void stuff is going to get us ready for midnight, right? The next expansion. We also have a moth creature that they've kidnapped. Obviously, Koresh used to be this wonderful place with a bunch of creatures, and these moths would help provide them with linen. Now, obviously, that's the linen that we see them being bound with. And of course, too, we have a council of demon hunters, which look to be infected by the void, which has caused some speculation. But yeah, this is going to be the new raid. I'm looking forward to it, guys. And again, there's a lot of content here, so let's get into it. Alright, guys, now it seems like the War Within has decided to bring back borrowed power like we saw in the previous expansions. We saw it with the ring, now we're seeing it with the Titan belt that we have access to now. And now we have this new artifact that's coming in 11.2, but it does sound pretty cool. It's not like I'm ripping into this 100%, but it's kind of weird having borrowed power. But anyway, you could argue that every piece of gear is borrowed power, because eventually we're going to replace it anyway. Let's not get into the details, but there's a new artifact coming out, just like we saw in the 8.3 Nyalotha raid. We have a new cape. Now, obviously, it's named differently. It's called the Reshii Wraps. It's a cloak. It's going to take over your main cloak, and it's going to help us perform a bunch of different things, but there's actually this new feature called phase diving. Now, phase diving is going to let you enter this, like, almost like, visually, it looks like the Lord of the Rings when Frodo puts the ring on, right? So it kind of looks like that. You'll be able to see different world events in there, different creatures inside of this phase diving, and it's like two zones on top of each other. One's normal and one's through phase diving. So there's also some certain activities you have to do inside of there. It also shows messages from your friends, like in Dark Souls, right? You can leave messages on the floor like, this is a hard boss, teehee, you suck. You can also see where your friends have died. So it's a cool little feature, and hopefully they'll expand this out if everyone really enjoys it. Now, you can obviously use this this cape inside of delves, dungeons in the raid, and the outdoor activities, which is pretty cool. And you can upgrade this. It's a warbound weekly upgrade, so you can upgrade it as you go. And again, it's going to be familiar content, so you got to do it through world content. The exacts aren't really known at this moment, so obviously all this information just came out. And of course, too, they let us know that there is a catch-up mechanic to this system. So if you miss a week of upgrading your Reshii Wraps, don't worry about it. I think it's Reshii Wraps. It's still a cloak, but it sounds like it should be like a wrist, by the way. Anyway, but yeah, guys, new artifact coming. A weekly upgrade, but thankfully we have a catch-up mechanic. Alright guys, now in the Season 3 preview of all the Mythic dungeons, I did mention a new dungeon. Let's dive into that now. So obviously in 11.2, we have a new dungeon, and obviously a new raid. Now this new dungeon, again, is Echo Dome Arathi. Now again, hopefully I'm saying that right. I suck at saying names. Now this is a giant eco dome. Now again, remember in, Outlands, in Netherstorm, you had these giant ecodomes by the ethereals. Those are actually them just preserving the nature inside of those areas, and they've actually, the reason why they were so efficient on the Outlands is because they had so much practice with them on Koresh, because obviously their home planet was destroyed before Outlands, right? So that's what, now we're seeing a bunch of ecodomes on Koresh as we speak. Now, however, though, there's some drama yet again. Obviously, it wouldn't be a dungeon without any drama. Well, a group of wastelanders have seized control, and now we're trying to obviously take that control back and figure out why they've taken control of it. Now, there's 3 bosses. We have, again, these names I'm going to be terrible at. There's going to be Devourers there, right? We've all seen the Devourers. They're always everywhere. We have a Beast Mastery, and we have a Soul Scribe, right? Now, this is one of the old oracles of Koresh that have been corrupted by the Void. Now, what's pretty interesting, actually, now, normally, when it comes to content and like progression and canon progression, usually it's the world content first, then you do the dungeon, then do the raid. That's how the story progresses. However, in 11.2, it's different. First, you do the world content with the main quest line, then the raid comes, and then after the raid, that's when the storyline continues inside the dungeon. So the dungeon is the last story bit versus the raid. So if you do the dungeon before the raid, you might be a little bit confused. So it's going to be interesting on what they're going to be hiding in this dungeon. I'm actually kind of curious. Technically, we could play this right now on the PTR. But yeah, a new dungeon again. This will also be featured in the new season. Again, the season becomes a week after the release of 11.2, so obviously we'll have a week of just chilling out, learning all the new systems, getting our Reshii Wraps up, and enjoying the landscape of the destroyed Koresh. Now, speaking of the dungeons, there's actually a new system coming to dungeons in 11.2 for Season 3. Now, as of right now, of all the information that I have, it seems like the information and the new system is only going to be for Season 3 dungeons. It's not going to be retroactive, right? Now, this new system is waypoints. Now, as you guys know, sometimes you wipe inside of Mythic Plus. Sometimes it be like that. Now, there are checkpoints in the dungeon. Now, some are easier to figure out than normal, and sometimes it's hard to just remember where these checkpoints are, because sometimes you die, and you're like, am I close to a checkpoint, or do I have to wait for my healer? Because obviously if you res and you're like in Timbuktu, you're going to have to run back and waste some precious time. So now in Season 3, there's going to be dungeon waypoints. Now on the minimap and in the physical location of that checkpoint, when you reach a checkpoint, it will tell you on the minimap where the nearest checkpoint is, what the active checkpoint is. So now you'll know, like, okay, the run back's too long, I'm gonna wait for the healer to res me, or, oh, the run back's really short, I'm gonna res real quick, get back into the fight. This will just streamline some things. It will take out the question marks that you have. Should I res, question mark, or, that you always ask. I always ask that in Discord when I die. I don't die a lot. Just kidding, I die a lot. I'm an arms warrior. I'm demolishing, and I get into a lot of tricky business. Okay, so, but yeah, it's pretty cool though. So obviously, if people really like this, you're probably going to be seeing this in the next couple of seasons. So I love this change. I think this is a needed change, and just the more knowledge we know, obviously the more things we know is the best. Obviously for the best. I'm going to have fun talking about this one. Okay, again, talking about Mythic Plus. As you guys know in the past, for just normal dungeons, if you leave a dungeon before a certain time, you get the deserter buff, and this also happens PvP. And in Mythic Plus, you can just leave a key and that's it. Obviously, your name can be blacklisted by a certain community, and then obviously you won't be invited to keys. But there's so many people playing this game, it's pretty hard to blacklist someone. But now Blizzard is adding a new system in, and there is going to be some consequences to people leaving keys early. Okay, so they're finally getting penalized, guys, and it's about dang time. Okay, so there's going to be a new deserter system inside Season 3. Now, it's not going to be mechanical, it's just going to be social, a stigma to basically. So what happens is if you leave without the penalty, if you leave a mythic dungeon before voting. So now there's a vote system, right? If you guys want to end the key, we all have to vote. We all have to majority agree that this key is bricked. If everyone agrees, people can leave, no issue, no penalization. However, if you leave, if there's a failed vote or you just want to leave, after a while, again, certain numbers aren't given to us right now, we'll find out more later, you're going to be given a buff, or a debuff technically, saying that you leave Mythic dungeons a lot, okay? It's actually going to be called marked as someone who leaves often. Now, when you're applying for a Mythic Plus dungeon, someone's going to see that and be like, ooh, I don't want this person in here. Uh-oh, get rid of it. Now, obviously, to get rid of this buff, you just have to complete a bunch of keys. Again, that number hasn't been given to us yet. Now, I've seen some controversy here, all right, that people will say, well, people are going to hold me hostage in a key. Well, here's this. Here's a simple solution, guys. This is my solution to that. Say, for example, you're in a Mythic Plus key, and at 30 deaths, you can leave with no penalization. Now, that's not in the game right now. That's my suggestion for people holding me hostage and not doing the vote to kick, right? So, why do I say 30 deaths? Everyone who plays Mythic Plus, especially who do over, 8s, 9s, and 10s, knows that at 30 deaths, that key is bricked. Now, obviously, if you're in a guild group, you're going to want to continue that, but if you're in a random group at 30 deaths, that key's bricked anyway. So I feel like you should leave unpenalized for that. I think that's a nice addition they should add, but honestly, if you're mad about this, you're a chronic leaver of Mythic Pluses. You've been called out. If you don't like this system, yikes, okay? This is good. People need to know that you're a chronic leaver, because obviously I don't want to play with people who leave the dungeon early. Oh, this is not an optimal route. This is not going perfectly. I'm going to leave. They throw you little tantrums. No more. Your tantrums will be on full display. Full display. Alright guys, let's go back to the world of Koresh. Now there's actually a new, I guess, world event that we can say inside of Koresh. Now it's going to be called Ecological Succession. Now again, this has to do with the ecodomes on side of Koresh. Now obviously these ecodomes are meant to preserve the natural fauna and, just anything alive on the planet. Obviously everything else in the planet is this void, destroyed world, right? So this new event, you're going to be working with Venari to bring life back to the planet, one animal at a time. Now, how to do that, right? You're actually going to bring animals from around Azeroth and bring it to Koresh to see if it meshes well with the environment. Now, obviously, we don't know too many details about this system, but it seems like this is just going to be kind of almost like a zoo simulator, right? Now, I don't know how it plays. Obviously, when we get details, we'll definitely let you know for sure here at the channel. But yeah, I mean, another cool, I think this is going to be another world event, kind of like we have the theater inside of the Island of Dor, right? We have the machine one inside of the depths, right? Again, I think this is going to be one of those fun activities for us to do. Also, guys, by the way, I don't know if I've covered this already, but there's going to be flying inside of Koresh by default. There won't be any special movement like we saw in 11.1. It's just going to be normal flying we have inside of the original expansion. All right, guys, let's talk about the raid a little bit. Now, obviously, right now, we have augmented ruins, right? We actually just got a buff inside the Renown system to get more of them. Now, obviously, they buff our primary stat for a select amount of time. Now, if we do die, we end up losing them. Now, there's actually 2 new ones being added in 11.2 that actually change up the game. So, they're tied to the Renown. So, there's one tied to the Raid Renown, because there's going to be a new Raid Renown, by the way, and one tied to the World Renown. Obviously, we see this inside of 11.0, 11.1, right? That's totally normal that we see. Now, there's going to be a new permanent and soul-gorged augmented ruin entering the game. So there's one that's permanent from the open world Renown, so it's going to be permanent no matter where you are on death, and there's also going to be one that persists through death, which is going to be from the Raid Renown. Right now, again, at rank 18 for the World Renown, and then rank 9 for the Raid Renown, you'll have access to that stuff. So again, it's going to be, it seems like Augmented Ruin is getting a nice change, again, persist through death, right? Kind of like the hearty feasts we're seeing inside of 11.1. So it's definitely cool to see, and hopefully it changes up in the use of them. Because obviously right now we kind of try to save them for special fights. Obviously, if you die once, you're out of luck. You have to pop a new one. So, and they're quite expensive, but we don't know the price of this, by the way. They're not going to give these out for free. They're probably going to be in the millions of gold. So it's definitely something to be sought out for. But you're going to have a pretty penny to get this out. But when more details come out, I'll definitely let you guys know. All right, guys, the final article is finally here. Again, 15 articles today. Again, a lot of 11.2 to talk about. Again, we'll probably have some more details about some of these systems next week too, so it'll probably be not an even larger week, but definitely a hefty couple of weeks coming up here. Now, obviously, right now as we're speaking, the midsummer event is occurring. Now, obviously, it's halfway through the summer, well, halfway through the year, excuse me. It's in summer, obviously. You can tell by the way my everything looks, right? I'm very sweaty right now. Now, this event goes from June 21st, which, by the way, it's already past that day, to July 5th. So you still have some time to play this event, so definitely check it out. Now, obviously, the currency is still the burning blossoms, right? You can still light the fires, but there's actually a new achievement you can get for Khazalgar. You can go to the 4 major locations inside the original expansion, not any of the new stuff, and light their bonfires, and you'll get a cool achievement. Now, for the Horde, yours is going to be Flame Keeper of Khazalgar, and for Alliance, you're going to be Flame Warden of Khazalgar, so definitely check that out. Now, there's also new rewards being dropped both by vendors and the Frost Lord Ahun, right? So you have the Grand Helm of the Fire Festival, you have the Grand Mantle of the Fire Festival, which is a shoulder. We also have the Grand Belt of the Fire Festival, so they all look pretty cool, very in theme. And then from Frost Lord Ahun, right, that's the dungeon you queue up for more loot. You get Crown of the Frost Lord, we get some scythes, we get some just giant weapons, right, which are looking pretty cool. So again, we get 8 total new transmogs, which is pretty cool. So it's good to see these events being upgraded from time to time, which is awesome. Every year we're getting some new stuff for people who have everything completed. It's good to just have something to do when these events come through. So definitely enjoyed the midsummer, guys. All right, guys, that is all of the news for today. That is a lot of news. Again, 11.2 dominated everything that we have to do. Again, we have this new camera angle. Let me know how the microphone sounds. We're always trying to improve the show here, and I am getting better at trying to read from that notebook. I do want to give you all the facts. It's hard to remember it, so I have them written down. I'm using them for my daily videos, so hopefully I get better at just transitioning between reading and telling you the information. Now, obviously, guys, I do daily videos on my X page if you want to check them out. I talk about the exact same things we talked about here, but in a little bit more detail here. Again, I do like to do short overviews just so we can keep this video down in time, especially for these long weeks. But guys, thanks for watching. Again, I'm going to be coming out obviously next week with another weekly video. Hopefully have some more details about 11.2 to share. I am Unoptimized Fool, and I'll see you guys later.